Hi everyone, welcome to your third learning module for EDCI 594. The purpose of this learning module is to examine if gifted education is a right or a privilege. So let's dial back for a minute and think about our first two learning modules. We first investigated what is giftedness. How do we define what giftedness means? And one of the main things you should have taken away from that is it's not easy. So there are various definitions of gifted education, various definitions of what being gifted means, and of course, as we'll see later this semester, there are various gifted education programming options. One thing to really keep in mind is that those definitions change from state to state, and oftentimes they also change even from district to district. So the purpose of the first learning module was just to give you an overview. This is what gifted education is. We confronted a lot of different myths within that module. Then we moved on to the characteristics of gifted learners. Remember, the purpose of that was to put a face to giftedness, and hopefully you saw from our case study with Adam and drawing the turkey that giftedness does not always look like we may expect it to. And that is so important to keep in mind, particularly as we look forward to investigating the invisible gifted and learning module 5. No matter who you are, when I say the word gifted, an image pops into your mind. You can't help that something pops into your mind, but you can help what you do with that image, right? So I always tell my students, check your image. What is that? Are you envisioning the stereotypical gifted child who's most likely white, most likely sitting in the front of the classroom and really paying attention? And then are you able to really confront that implicit bias and recognize the diverse characteristics of gifted learners, both positively manifested and negatively manifested? So that brings us to this learning module. Now, the purpose of this learning module is to look more at the law. So what are we really required to do in order to serve gifted and talented students? So your title of this module is gifted education a right or is it a privilege? Chances are, if you are enrolled in this course, you're quick to say, of course, it's a right. I love all children. I want all of my students to have the opportunities to learn from gifted education services. And that's how I feel too. Which is why I really like to start this module with a video of just me kind of talking to you face to face. You have to distance yourself, distance your emotions from the library content, because some of the library content will surprise you. One thing that you'll notice is that there is no, I repeat, no federal funding for gifted education. So at a federal level, we do not have funding. Now, it is different from one state to the next. The only form of somewhat federal funding we receive is the Javits grant. That grant is specifically to work with underrepresented and minority students. And unfortunately, there's even been a lot of talk recently about defunding that. So I just want to hit you with that really hard truth. There's no federal funding for this. So, of course, in our teacher hearts, this is a right. But that may not be the truth once you start to really dig into the resources. And I like to say that up front. It's difficult. But I really want you to take that critical eye as you analyze the resources that I provided for you this week. So, what are you responsible for during Module 3? So as always, we start with a case study and a discussion board. This case study is based upon a family who is very well off, and they notice that their child is demonstrating some characteristics of pretty definitely being gifted. So they have the opportunity and the means to send their child, who is most likely gifted, to a very specialized school, which actually is a real school. So you can look up, I believe it's pronounced the Helios School. You're free to look that up and kind of examine it. It is not free, right? So this family has the opportunity to send their child to the school And your discussion board post is based upon the really difficult question, is this available and is this a right to all students in our country? One note of advice for this discussion board post. You need to really carefully cite your sources, because anything that you say, I need to see that you have shown evidence. Okay, they're not just saying all students deserve this. They're saying all students deserve this, and it is a right as demonstrated in this one article or this law that I've noticed within our readings. Okay, so trust me, I'm a teacher too. I got the teacher heart. I love all students. This is a hard discussion board post to write. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm asking for, is this gifted education a right or a privilege? Now, calm down a little bit, because the application assignment for this totally asks for your opinion, and I believe it's a really great opportunity for you to start advocating for students who are gifted. So your application assignment for this week is called your Gifted Education Advocacy Assignment. So I want you to really start positioning yourselves as advocates for gifted education. What I mean by that is, even if you're a first-year teacher, it may be your voice that's needed to ensure that students are served in your school. You need to start thinking of yourself as knowledgeable and expert about this content. Gifted education training is not very common, so chances are you will be the advocate in your work environment. So your project is to create some kind of final product that you could use to help advocate for gifted services. Now, there are some specific components that you need to address within that product, and you will find those within your learning module and your assignment directions. But I keep the product very open. So, for example, in the past, I've had students make an infographic about what is gifted education, and then they sent that infographic out to their entire school. In the past, I have had students who were really interested in social media make a very informative social media post or a quick video. I've had others who will create like a one-page flyer. So the product is entirely up to you. I want you to think about your audience, think about the individuals you can most likely impact, and use that to inform your decision. So again, this module is all about, is gifted education a right or a privilege? It will make you mad. This learning module will not leave you with a good feeling. And use that anger that you've discovered through writing your discussion board post to fuel your passion to really working hard on that advocacy assignment. I'm so excited to see the work that you produce, and as always, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.